All right, guys, gals, Todd Vandermeide here, former NRA contract lobbyist and Illinois gun law guru. Thank you again for tuning in to Freedom Steel. The other day after the committee hearing, I was asked to do a radio show down in St. Louis with Annie Frey, and she's on 97.1. And with that, she did an interview with me on what happened at the committee hearing and Ms. Stoneback's, back and forth with me for that little bit. So along with that, what we've got here is she graciously sent me the link to her radio show's broadcast that day. And so we're going to let you hear some of her questions and the setup she did and my interview with her. So here, take it away.
If you don't know about HB-5855 in the state of Illinois, I don't care if you're not an Illinois resident. This is going to have implications across the country. And many legal minds think that the second this gets passed, it's going to go immediately to the courts. They've said that they're going to file an immediate injunction to try to get it stopped in its tracks. But you got to listen to what these people are saying.
My second question is for Mr. Weber.
So this is Representative Stoneback. She's from Skokie, Illinois, and she's been serving in the General Assembly since when? January 2021. She's new. She's fresh. Denise Stoneback from a suburb of Chicago.
Mr. Weber, have you... We've heard several different comments about constitutionality, and you are all claiming that this bill is unconstitutional under the Second Amendment. Is that correct?
I don't believe I made that claim in my testimony.
Okay, so we've heard that testimony from this panel.
Yes.
Yes. Are you familiar with the Second Amendment? Can you recite the Second Amendment to us?
I am not a lawyer, so the constitutionality of the bill, it's not something I'm here to speak to the subject matter of 5855.
Mr.
27 words. Well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Okay. Is there any mention of an individual's right to a gun for self-defense or recreation in the Second Amendment?
Yes. The people. Same as the First Amendment, same as the Fourth Amendment, same as the Ninth Amendment.
There is not a single word about an individual's right to a gun for self-defense or recreation in the Second Amendment.
Whew! Oh! Yeah, that was said out loud. Her name is Denise Stoneback. This may come as a shock to you, but she lost her primary, so she's almost done. But boy, are they going to take those ideas and run with them. Todd Vandermeide, he's going to be on the show with us at 1:42, and he's the one who steps in with the 27 words of the Second Amendment that do indicate that you do have an individual right to exercise your Second Amendment, to individual right to a gun shall not be infringed. There's more where that came from, and I really need folks to know that this is taking place and the timing of it being right before Christmas, and it's going to be going into more conversations here right around when you're not paying attention. You need to know what's going on.
My second question is for Mr. Weber. Mr. Weber, have you... We've heard several different comments about constitutionality, and you are all claiming that this bill is unconstitutional under the Second Amendment. Is that correct?
I don't believe I made that claim in my testimony.
Okay, so we've heard that testimony from this panel.
Yes.
Yes. Are you familiar with the Second Amendment? Can you recite the Second Amendment to us?
I am not a lawyer, so the constitutionality of the bill, it's not something I'm here to speak to the subject matter of 5855.
Mr. Van
27 words. Well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
That's what you need to know. This guy knows what he's talking about. He is prepared with the information, and boy, Are the people of Illinois about to watch this legal battle unfold? They certainly are. I don't understand where these individuals go and so boldly suggest that the Constitution is only there for a specific amount of purpose, only now changing the definition and the understanding of what it is. It's good that we have people advocating for your Second Amendment rights. It's good that we have people who are willing to step up, but in Illinois, will anybody hear them?
For Mr. Weber, have you visited the headquarters of the NRA in Fairfax, Virginia?
Yes.
And can you tell me what in the 1950s used to be the words that were on the NRA headquarters building?
In the 1950s?
Yes.
Well, I don't believe that was the same building that I visited that is currently our headquarters, so no, I could not.
So I would like to say that metal letters on the facade spelled out the purpose of the NRA: firearm safety education, marksmanship training, and shooting for recreation. And are you familiar with the words that are in the facade currently?
I'm not
or
sure
in the lobby?
What building you're referencing. We have a few
NRA
offices.
headquarters in Fairfax, Virginia.
I've been there, okay.
Are you familiar with it?
I'm familiar with the building.
You're familiar with the building, but you do not recall what exactly is printed on the building.
This is the argument that is being made for HB-5855, which is going to limit magazines that are 10, that have a capacity of 10 or more. The definition, we went through this in detail on the show. I have a long thread on my Twitter that copies and pastes and cuts and pastes the exact verbiage from HB-5855. In the state of Illinois, this is going to be a huge constitutional battle, and we need to be paying attention to it. So we're going to speak with Todd Vandermeide at 1:45. He's a former lobbyist for the NRA, but he was at that hearing challenging Representative Stoneback on this particular issue. Stay aware, because if they're trying it in Illinois, they're doing it so that they can get to you in whatever state that you live in. Let's take a quick break from that and go to one of our favorite guests.
Focus on one comment that you made about gun safety training. So just a yes or no answer would be appreciated. Is my understanding correct in that in an ideal world you would like to see every firearm owner be well trained on how to operate their firearms safely?
So would I like all gun owners to be well trained? Yes.
So would you be in support then of mandating for FOID applications a certain number of hours of firearm safety and firearm training?
No.
Is there is the first answer that you provided to this committee consistent with the second?
Yes.
All right. Well, I see that we are moving towards bridging that gap that you referred to, and we will continue to work towards that.
What a loon. My goodness. Representative Stoneback, who's on her way out because she got primaried by the Democrats. Apparently they don't like her too much if they primaried her, and she lost the primary. You know what she says? She doesn't understand the difference between a man's personal opinion that, hey, if you have a gun, you should be well trained in it, to making the leap to the government should mandate all of these things that you think that should be done. That's not how it works. It just isn't how it works. And also, why is the microphone in her mouth? If you're a misophoniac like I am, I'm not happy with her gun stance. The mouth noises, oh my gosh, I almost didn't listen to it. Let's get to the expert on this. Todd Vandermeide is with us right now. He's a former lobbyist with the NRA, and he was at this hearing. Todd, I want to play a clip for you here in a second, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to come on here and talk about what is taking place in the Illinois legislature. We welcome you on to the show. HB-5855 is really something.
It is. It is. It's a very broad spectrum, broad-based gun grab. Evidently, the Democrats and the gun grabbers in Illinois haven't read the New York decision, don't comprehend it, and just want to stick their heads in the sand like ostriches.
Yeah, it's horrible. And you listen to a Representative Stoneback here questioning one of your colleagues who was on this panel working to advocate for the constitutional rights that Americans, and yes, even those Americans who live in the state of Illinois, still get to exercise. Listen to this line of conversation.
My second question is for Mr. Weber. Mr. Weber, have you... We've heard several different comments about constitutionality, and you are all claiming that this bill is unconstitutional under the Second Amendment. Is that correct?
I don't believe I made that claim in my testimony.
Okay, so we've heard that testimony from this panel.
Yes.
Yes. Are you familiar with the Second Amendment? Can you recite the Second Amendment to us?
I am not a lawyer, so the constitutionality of the bill, it's not something I'm here to speak to the subject matter of 5855.
Mr. Van
27 words. Well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Okay. Is there any mention of an individual's right to a gun for self-defense or recreation in the Second Amendment?
Yes. The people. Same as the First Amendment, same as the Fourth Amendment, same as the Ninth Amendment.
There is not a single word about an individual's right to a gun for self-defense or recreation in the Second Amendment.
So there you have, Todd. That was Todd who stepped in there and just, quoted the Constitution. Apparently the Constitution doesn't apply to you unless you can recite it, is what it feels like the representative is saying there. Todd, what was she really saying when it's like, no, this isn't about an individual's rights? What does she really think on this issue?
Well, what she's trying to get at is she's trying to get at the first clause of the Second Amendment about the well-regulated militia. And all her and the other anti-gunners want to do is focus on well-regulated so they can use that as an excuse to pass any gun control they want. And they want to talk about how, well, it only deals with the militia, which is not what the Supreme Court has said. And if you saw part of the video, I was grabbing my iPad to pull up the actual Heller decision because, the Heller decision, and this is what I argue with these people all the time, is that this has been asked and answered by the court. And what the court said in its holdings, the amendment's prefatory clause announces a purpose, but does not limit or expand the scope of the second part, the operative clause. The operative clause text and history demonstrate it connotes an individual right to keep and bear arms. And that's what the court said. And they don't want to accept that. And, one of the things I like to do is I like to have the documents I can quote at hand, and I always do. And that's why she didn't let me finish the second part of that because, she said, well, where is it for an individual self-defense? And I was about to get to, it says keep and bear. And the Supreme Court has deemed bear to mean carry in case of confrontation. And, don't take Todd's word for it. There's 5 justices in the Supreme Court said that in 2008, and 6 of them said that, in New York not too long ago. So, she doesn't like the answers they're getting out of the court, and because of that, she wants to try to continually drive this faux pas, this just Fox idea that we somehow wrote off half the amendment. No, there's a prefatory clause, and we understand that. It denotes a purpose but does not limit the operative clause, and she refuses to grasp that. So she's just trying to get a pound of flesh, And if you'll notice, you moved rather quickly on from me because I have answers for these things that they don't like.
Yeah, well, and I saw a clip of it that somebody shared on Twitter, and then somebody in the comments of that clip shared the whole 3+ hour video. And so I, because I'm a nerd, was like, oh, I got to watch this. So I started watching. I couldn't believe myself. So I know about HB-5855. I know that they're trying to push this through. I know it involves gun registries. I know it limits greatly, like incredibly greatly, the Second Amendment rights that everybody else in this country can enjoy in most places throughout the country. I want to get your take. We're speaking with Todd Vandermeide about what HB 5855, the real implications for gun owners and Second Amendment supporters in the state of Illinois. What is the Illinois legislature going to effectively do with this bill?
Well, they're trying to pass it during the lame duck session in the first week of January, the 4th through the 10th. We think they have the votes in the House. We don't know if they have the votes in the Senate. The Senate Democrats have majorities, super majorities in both chambers, but we'll see. And, Governor Pritzker kind of downplayed the expectations, saying, well, we'll get it done this spring. What we're not doing, what the gun side of this is not doing, we're not debating page and line numbers and pointing out every single flaw in the bill. We've done that in the past when we thought we could change minds, win votes, and win the day. It's not the case anymore. These people are not interested in an intellectually honest debate about the subject matter. They just want to flail away and, their pound of flesh and pass what they want. So our strategy this time is in light of the New York decision, the 4th decision on the Second Amendment the Supreme Court has handed down, that we are going to not help them build a better mousetrap. Pass the most god-awful piece of garbage that you can. It'll be that much easier to kill in court, and that is our strategy. We are going to court. The dealers, manufacturers, gun owners, a number of people are sitting there and going to, we're banding together to form a coalition to take on this legislation, and we're going to do it in the courts. Yeah. And that's it. And that was my message to them yesterday was 2 parts. One, we will see you in court, and you're going to be sending my lawyer's grandchildren to Harvard. And the second part of that is you don't have any means for enforcing this. You have 70 sanctuary counties in Illinois. You have counties like Effingham and Iroquois passing resolutions saying no county official is to help the state enforce this should it pass. You've got in New York, in Connecticut, they only get about a 15% compliance rate with their registration schemes when they pass these laws. In New York, there is estimated to be over 1 million guns that fell into this category that did not get registered. In Illinois, you're talking, so 2.5 million FOID card holders. Let's say 1.2 million, half of them have a handgun. They typically come with 3 magazines. So now you're looking at 3.6 million magazines. Most people that I know that own an AR-style rifle own at least 10 magazines. 1.2 million times 10 is 12 million. They don't have a clue as to what they are stepping into with this. And there are a bunch of people, the gun owners of this state, the ones that I know, the ones at my gun club, the ones I talk to online, they're all sitting there saying enough is enough.
Yeah.
We're not going to register our stuff. We're not going to surrender our stuff. We're not going to do that. You guys, we've hit a wall. Our back's up against it. We're not going any farther. And I don't think they've understand the hornet's nest they have truly kicked over with this.
Well, Todd, I love to hear your enthusiasm behind this because I know that there are a lot of just beaten down, almost Stockholm Syndrome-esque Illinois residents who know that the government that controls them in so many different ways in this state is out of hand, but it's happened and it's happened and it's happened. And you kind of get to the point where if you can leave, you're gone. If you can't leave, it's just so frustrating to dig into the details on things like this that you feel like nothing ever is going to happen. So before I have to let you go, Todd, you say you're going to take it to the courts. If they pass this bill in the lame duck session or right away in the beginning of the new session, how quickly does it find its way in courts and how quickly do you expect to get a stay?
We would expect to get a stay because of the immediate effective date. The minute the governor puts pen to paper, it takes effect. So we would be expecting a stay and or an injunction quickly, and we're prepared to go to court the minute he puts that pen to paper. And if you want more on this, I do run a YouTube channel called Freedom's Steel, and I do updates on all this stuff under my 2A section.
That's perfect.
So, yeah. I've done some. I've done some on court cases. I know the lawyers that are handling stuff in California and Judge Benitez and all the stuff going there, and we're taking cues from them. We have a top-notch legal team that's assembled for this. We have, the city of Chicago, when they lost McDonald, paid the National Rifle Association $1.2 million in attorney's fees. And, I think that when the state legislators get together, if they're bent on doing this, then in the next appropriation, they should put at least a $2 million line in there to pay our lawyers' fees for when we win. There's over 20 lawsuits pending in Illinois right now on FOID card and daycare issues and stuff dealing with firearms. They're going to see another 20 if they want to continue down this road. And what will happen is Mrs. Stoneback won't be there to take part in any of this after January 10th, and we're just going to laugh at her and all her cohorts because you can't put us all in jail. You can't enforce this, and at the end of the day, we're going to win in the courts.
Well, the good news is that they don't want to put anybody in jail now. So with that being said, Todd, we appreciate you for being on with us. We're going to keep in touch with you as this bill continues to progress. I've just subscribed to Freedom's Steel on YouTube, and we look forward to having you back again soon. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Todd Vandermeide, Freedom's Steel is his YouTube channel. You can vote on our YouTube live chat poll, the Annie Frey YouTube channel.
All right, guys, gals, Todd Vandermeide here, former NRA contract lobbyist and Illinois gun law guru. Thank you again for tuning in to Freedom's Steel. The other day after the committee hearing, I was asked to do a radio show down in St. Louis with Annie Frey, and she's on 97.1. And with that, she did an interview with me on what happened at the committee hearing and Ms. Stoneback's, back and forth with me for that little bit. So along with that, what we've got here is she graciously sent me the link to her radio show's broadcast that day. And so we're going to let you hear some of her questions and the setup she did and my interview with her. So here, take it away.